Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. As you know what we tell you in independent media, one of the reasons we have to do this, right, is because if you take a look at what's occurring right now on the mainstream media, take a look at what's occurring on MSNBC and MSN, all these other guys right now. You are not hearing the things that most have an impact on you. That is why we have independent media. Today we have some important issues to cover. The first segment today, we have I tell you what, let's do this. I have a whole lot of clips that I need to show you, but I'm not going to do it right now because I started to read a thing today on Common Dreams, and I saw this thing on Social Security that nobody is talking about. And I said to myself, you know what? Everybody knows what's occurring, but they don't know this. And this is what we're going to talk about. Trump cut Social Security in a backhanded fashion. First topic, exploding private insurance costs. Second topic. Today, Alex Lawson, Executive Director of Social Security Works, will discuss Trump's new attack on Social Security. Later, we'll discuss the exploding costs of private insurance. Donald Trump and his cabal can get away with this destruction of Social Security, the rest of the Social Security safety net, and necessary regulations for several reasons. We know that. The first is that Trump is very good at deflecting. That's the reason nobody knows about it. They're talking about everything that is unimportant, but it's happening. The drumbeat is going. He does so many silly things. The eyes of too many are kept off the ball. Secondly, we have a corporate media who have little interest in taking or talking on subjects that otherwise are beneficial, or rather, because they're otherwise beneficial to their benefactors, their advertisers. So, folks, we don't care. We have the necessary media to take care of that. So today, without any further ado, El Señor Alex Lawson. Alex Lawson, how are you doing, my friend?
Great. Thanks for having me. What a great intro.
Let me tell you something. The work that you do is important. We have to have activists and the works, the independent medias of the world all over this country, because absent that, the corporatocracy reigns. And I know that you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I say that before we have the political revolution, we need a media revolution, which you are leading the way of. Because when the plutocrats are able to control the story, they're able to control the information, they're able to control what we can and cannot do, because we don't even know what's going on because they're not telling the story. And then I will say, so you have the corporate media, the reason that pharma and drug prices are so high, for example, why pharma rules so much in this town of Washington, D.C., where I am, is because you turn on the media, what are the commercials that are in between the news segments that are about, why is nothing being done on pharma? They're drug advertisements, right? I mean, they are part of the problem. The corporate media is the propaganda arm of the plutocrats. And then I will say you also have a guy in Donald Trump who really understands how to use the corporate media. He's a reality TV star, so he understands that, these are his buddies. They might pretend to hate him or whatnot, but, ABC, Les Moonves said it, maybe bad for the country, good for ABC during
He
the
did say that.
Said it because he knows, like, this guy's ratings gold. So what Donald Trump knows is he basically goes around smashing things up, create chaos, a lot of noise, tons of noise. Sometimes it's just about nothing, right? I mean, he'll get the whole media to just follow him down some rabbit hole about nothing. And all that time that he's creating that chaos, he has an army of minions. I mean, some truly bad people like Mick Mulvaney and Stephen Miller, the architect of plans, Stephen Miller, to put children in cages, and Mick Mulvaney to do whatever it takes to destroy our earned benefits, Social Security, Medicare. And that's what we're talking about today. That's this policy, this backdoor attack on our Social Security benefits.
I like the way you said backdoor attack, because that is what got me into doing this today, right? I was doing my normal reading of the morning, and I saw, wait a minute, this is not, the problem with discussing Social Security is that it has so many different appendages. It is very hard to sit down and say, well, how can doing this really affect my mother, my father? Because they're on regular Social Security, right? But Social Security covers a whole lot more. So why don't you take it from there and tell us what's really happening? Why is it so dangerous?
So what's going on is there is only one Social Security system. We all pay into it during our working lives, and then it's there for us. It's wage insurance if we lose our wages due to some things, right? Due to retirement. That's what most people know about Social Security. But we all pay in and are currently covered over loss of wages, also due to disability, and for our survivors, if workers die, their survivors receive Social Security benefits. So disability benefits and survivors benefits. This is all one insurance package that we pay into. And a lot of people, I think most people who have not faced a life-changing event can't even picture that disability has anything to do with them. But the truth is 1 in 4 workers in this country will become disabled in their working life. That is something that people need to understand. So this disability insurance is not separate from the rest of Social Security. It's one thing. And the first thing that these guys do, Mick Mulvaney and Donald Trump, is they try to separate them. They try to pit us against ourselves and say, oh, well, these, we're not going after Social Security. We're only going after this part of Social Security. But that's not how it works. We've seen this time and again. What they did now is they're just going to rip the benefits away from hundreds of thousands of people. They're going to rip away the benefits that we have earned. And the thing is, if they can rip away someone's earned benefits, they can rip away all of our earned benefits. This is what we know for a fact, and we know what their plan is, and it's exactly that. The tip of the spear is to go against the people who they feel have the smallest voice to fight back, and then drive the spear in to the heart of the Social Security system to kill it, to destroy it completely, so that their plutocrat friends on Wall Street can reach their hands into our pockets and steal our money. That's the end goal. And the only fight back is truth tellers like you, letting people know that that's what's going on.
So explain to us exactly what's going on, because, I also have, believe it or not, a whole lot of conservative, some of them are trolls, but I have a whole lot of honest conservative listeners as well that would come on this show all of the times and try to say, but Egberto, let me tell you, the reason why we want to do this is people are cheating the system. I try to explain that, yes, there are people cheating the system, but isn't Exxon cheating the system as well? Aren't all these companies cheating the system? What we try to do is minimize the cheating, but we don't try to hurt the masses as we do so.
So I'm very happy that you're opening up this conversation in that way, because it's important to look at the facts on this. So I understand why people believe that there is all sorts of fraud and abuse and waste going on because the corporate media are just constantly there in your face, just yelling fraud, waste, abuse. The truth is that we have minuscule amounts of fraud, waste, and abuse in the Social Security system. Minuscule. Every time it's examined, they find barely any at all. And when they do find it, they're going after it and they're prosecuting it. But in fact, we divert so much of our resources to finding this minuscule amount that it's hurting our ability, all of us, to get our benefits, because we're putting all these resources into chasing after a white whale that doesn't exist. It's a narrative that they're selling. It doesn't exist. We have the second most stringent disability insurance in the world. The first is South Korea. And basically, it doesn't exist there. So our disability insurance for Social Security is ratcheted so high that when I started working in the area of Social Security, when I was working in the clinic,
Let me stop you there, because I want you do some important work. I want you to, before we get too far, because I want people to know who you are, that you're just not an activist spouting things off. I was out there at Netroots, and I think you were working with one of the old Shanana guys, weren't you? And doing some really important work on Social Security. So tell us a little bit about your company, and then we'll continue, because I want folks to know who we're dealing with here.
Definitely. So I'm the executive director of Social Security Works. We're an organization. We got over 1.5 million people who we talk to all across this country. Primarily, we're talking with folks who are seniors, folks with disabilities, and we have an education arm where we are, we're publishing books and we're getting information into people's hands. You can talk about the books. You can get in contact with me. Everything's online. socialsecurityworks.org.
Your website is on the screen as well.
Right on the Chiron. And then we also have a C4, which is the advocacy arm, where we're pushing for policies to not just protect Social Security and Medicare, but to expand them and to lower prescription drug prices, to increase economic security for everyone, but especially focused on seniors and folks with disabilities. And we do have a PAC. That's what you were talking about with the president of our PAC is John Bowser Bauman. He's Bowser from Shanana. Folks who are familiar, if the name doesn't mean anything to you right away, if you've seen the movie Grease, all the music in Grease is Shanana. He's the president of Social Security Works PAC. We go around the country and we look for champions on Social Security, Medicare, and those who are brave enough to take on the pharmaceutical corporations to bring down drug prices. And the president of Social Security Works is Nancy Altman, who is literally wrote the book on Social Security and now has written multiple books on Social Security. She was Alan Greenspan's aide in the famous Greenspan Commission in 1983. So we're talking from an area of expertise on these issues. And the story that I was just about to tell was, I actually come out of from a clinical side of things. I was a health educator in outreach clinics, and I worked with people who were looking to get disability benefits that they'd earned. Mm-hmm. And the requirements are so stringent that I thought that you were always denied the first time. I just thought that I literally, it was my job, but I just told people, you're always denied the first time, and then you have to actually go. It's not true that you're always denied. It's not 100%, but it's so close to 100% that I was never proven wrong. The requirements for getting these benefits are so high. So what these rules do is they make it even harder to confirm that you should continue receiving your benefits.
Right.
And the thing is, it might sound good, but we've seen this before. Ronald Reagan did this in 1981 to 84. He had to stop and reverse course and apologize because they saw really clearly that the effects of this are that a whole bunch of people who should not be thrown off, who do deserve their benefits, are thrown off. And then if they make it through the appeals process, they're found that they never should have been thrown off in the first place. But along the way, thousands of them died. And tens of thousands more just never even appealed. And it was just a catastrophic mistake when Reagan did it. And, he had to say he was sorry. It was a whole thing in 1984. And, if you're being very generous, you can say that when Ronald Reagan did it, he might have thought that he could, for your conservative viewers, he might have been thinking like that, like maybe I could find these fraudulent XYZ. But what he found is that that doesn't exist. And what does happen is we're hurting people who, have worked their whole lives, who have been working at backbreaking labor. Maybe they've herniated a disc or they faced a life-changing event and can no longer work.
Alex, let me ask you something. Do you think that is by design? Maybe, you said some people, the appeal process is so complicated or long that many of them end up dying. Is that by design? Just a question.
I think that when Reagan did it, you could say that's an open question. I have my opinion. But today, it has to be by design because we know exactly what happened. Mick Mulvaney is a student of Ronald Reagan.
Right.
So he got this idea from the failed idea when Reagan did it. So he knows exactly what he's doing.
Right.
So there's no way that this is not by design. And I know this is a point on your program. Egberto, you really have to remember that Donald Trump, this guy got elected by going on the debate stage and saying, I'm never going to cut Social Security.
Right.
I'm never going to cut Medicare. I'm never going to cut Medicaid. He made those promises, and he's proved himself a liar on every single one of those. This is just the most brazen attack where he's literally ripping Social Security away from people.
Alex, we all knew, most of us in the progressive sphere, we always knew that he would do that. So, right now, the thing that I try not to do is speak to the choir. I try to approach the other side with a level of respect to say, look, I want to meet you halfway, but look, we have to look at the same thing and see the same facts. So give me the facts as to what this new bill or this new change in the bill will do. How will it affect a whole lot of people, let's say, that live in Appalachia? That live in the ghettos and the barrios, because those are the people most likely to have the illnesses and those conditions that put them there.
But also, so I want to answer your question, but I want to add a few more. We're talking about rural Americans, folks who live in rural areas. We're seeing massive changes in what happens and what rural America looks like, and the backbreaking labor in rural America. But let me zoom out and just I want to talk to not the choir, because Social Security is not a liberal progressive issue. It's not a conservative issue. Look, Here's the truth. Social Security is ours. No one gives us anything when it comes to Social Security. We earn it. We pay into this system our entire working lives, and then it's there for us when we need it. But nobody gives us anything. Actually, no one gives us anything in this country, but especially with Social Security, it's ours. And the only thing that's happening is you have these bankers, these billionaires on Wall Street who are doing everything they can to reach their hands in our pockets and steal our money. And they want to divide us, to pit rural against urban. They want to pit miners in Appalachia against folks working in the fields in California, or or school teachers who are on their feet all day for years, or folks working on the lines, building cars. They want to slice and dice us and pit us against each other so that we can't stand united and say, you know what the problem in this country is? There is a handful of billionaires whose greed is a sickness, and they're willing to watch the world burn so that they can buy another golden yacht or whatever it is that they do with all of their billions of dollars, and they can't keep their greedy little hands off of our Social Security. So this is what everyone needs to remember about Social Security. It's ours. We earn it. No one gives us anything.
We shouldn't be calling it an entitlement, because you're
Never.
absolutely right. That is something that we all pay into. We pay into it progressively, and which is the right way to do it.
And in fact, we pay into it. It's not at the moment. It's not actually. It's not progressive. Actually, unfortunately, the benefits are.
Actually, you're right, because it's a constant rate up until $100,000 and something.
Exactly. Because of the cap, it's not. I mean, I don't think many people know that. I know you know that, but I don't think people know that billionaires don't pay in on all of their income. Millionaires don't pay in on all of their income. we pay in only on the first $133,000 a year. And then after that, no more into Social Security. So the vast majority of us are paying into Social Security on all of our income. And then these billionaires are paying in on a fraction of their income. And that's part of the problem. We got to have people pay in on all of their income. Billionaires and millionaires should pay in on all of their income, just like the rest of us. And if we did that, not only is Social Security solvent, forever, but we can expand benefits. And that's the only problem with Social Security. The plutocrats can't keep their greedy little hands off it. But the truth is that the benefits are super modest.
Very modest. Yes.
They're incredibly modest. You're talking about $20,000. Like, this is not a lot of money. And for far too many people, it's their only source of income in retirement. We saw the Wall Street cause collapse of the economy in 2008. 401ks turned into 201ks. And the only thing that stood strong is Social Security. For 85 years, through boom time and bust, through war and peace, not a single payment has ever been missed. And I will say, you want to know why Wall Street hates it? Because it does it all for less than 1 penny on the dollar.
Think about it. And what do they charge to manage your account as well? And it's funny because I don't know if you remember when Bush 2 came into office, his supposedly second mandate was to privatize Social Security, and we know what would have happened then.
Absolutely. He was trying to hand over our Social Security to Wall Street so they could gamble on it right before they collapsed the world economy. But there's another thing there, and I'm really happy you pointed that out, because what it showed is he thought he had this quote unquote mandate because he was listening to billionaires from Wall Street. But Republicans, independents, and of course Democrats were like, no. Absolutely not, because Social Security is this cross-cutting issue. It is not a partisan issue.
Now, let me tell you, Alex, what I think it's important going forward, right? I think, and I'm going to get a little bit off of the Social Security subject. After all, hell, you're a damn activist as well. So let's beat this. I have been telling our folk, specifically progressives, that there's absolutely no way that we don't win in 2020. The issue is how big a win we have and whether the Democratic Party will be complicit in stunting how big a win we can get based on these particular financial issues. I'm interested to your thoughts on your thoughts on that.
I don't have as rosy an outlook as you.
Yes.
I think that, a lot of my political theory was actually forged in the 2004 election. It just...
I remember well, yes.
It really stamped itself on my brain. So I think that there's a lot of structural advantages to Donald Trump. But I do think that his numbers, how deeply unpopular he is, no matter how much they pretend otherwise, he's deeply unpopular. So I think that there is a battle in the Democratic Party. So what I'm saying is I don't think anything's guaranteed. I'll just leave that. But then on the Democratic side,
I want to interject a bit here because I want you to kind of hit my thinking a bit here. My big issue right now is you just came onto this show to talk about Social Security, something that has a material impact on Appalachia. And that is the reason I like to use Appalachia is that it's his stomping ground, okay? I can see, Alex, if the Democratic Party and progressives really wanted to have an impact. I know a lot of times they said just bring out your base. I live in a very red base. And it's amazing that if I get a chance to speak to people, how many of these people suddenly are aware, because given that Fox News is their source of information, when they get it from me, and then I tell them, by the way, I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to verify all that I've told you. Many times they will come back to a coffee shop with me. I'm like, oh my God. I had a guy who wrote a blog on immigration. A red Republican writing a blog on why immigration is important for EgbertoWillies.com after he had a conversation after he was against immigration, and suddenly he realizes, oh my God, we actually need that. Some people, empathy is not enough, But so, I mean, don't you think your job and the job of the party and otherwise are not only to work on your base, but to go out there and don't assume that we just have a whole bunch of racist, stupid people, because I don't think that's what we really have, but you tell me better.
So I think that there is a battle for, what the Democratic Party is going to do. And I think in one of those situations where you're talking about Sanders, Warren, you're talking about folks who really do want to upend an economic system which is set up to upwardly redistribute wealth to the billionaires. And they, like Bernie Sanders has gone all over the country, including into West Virginia. And,
yes.
He's talking to people about Social Security, about the pharmaceutical corporations that are killing people for profit across this country. He's speaking a language that people are hearing regardless of party. It's not about party. It's about policy, and it's about who is is he going to fight for? And, if that side of the Democratic Party wins, that's the side that listens to the people. And that's the side that is going to go everywhere around this country and make the case that our policies. Now, on the other hand, I think you have Democrats who, they listen to the donors. They have a mindset that because the Republican Party is backed by big money, the only way to win is to actually go after their own Democratic big money and then let the billionaires duke it out, and the parties are just like sort of proxies for the various billionaire factions in this country, which is a super sad way of like seeing the world. And that side of the Democratic Party with the policies that they propose, what they look like are, it's basically mitigating the Republican policies, right? So it's not building a future where the workers and the people are working together and the billionaires are not in charge. And the workers and people don't have to fight for the crumbs that fall off the billionaires' table. That's what the people's side of the party is fighting for. The donor side, to their credit, what they're saying is something like we're gonna fight our hardest to keep the Republicans from stealing your Social Security. We're gonna create a situation where they can steal less, where they can hurt people less. And I want to believe in a party, and I think the way we win on the left is I don't want to fight to be punched in the face only once, right? Like, oh, they were going to punch you in the face twice, and I got them only to punch you in the face once. Say thank you. I'm like, I'm not going to say thank you. I still got punched in the face. I want to change the whole system. I don't want to just be on defense all the time. I think that when people are united, we can never be defeated. We will beat money power every single time. We just have to be able to cut through the noise. We have to cut through the corporate media, which is hard, but we can do it. And we need to get behind people who we believe are going to be fighting for the people and not for the donor class.
I mean, we have that same phrase that we use in Spanish. Look, Alex Lawson, I need you to close me out by doing one thing one more time. Tell our audience, our entire audience, what it is that Donald Trump and his cabal is doing. And secondly, what do they need? What must they do about that?
So Donald Trump, Mick Mulvaney, and his ilk are ripping Social Security away from hundreds of thousands of people. They're stealing our earned benefits. Now, they're going after primarily folks with disabilities on this, but that's just the start. After they can prove that they can rip our benefits away, they're coming after all of our benefits. Now, the truth is that we have an opportunity to stop this. You can give a comment on this proposed rule. And I'm going to just send you to socialsecurityworks.org. And on the front of our page, we will have a place that you can click that'll send you right over to where you can put your comment into the proposed rule. So it's socialsecurityworks.org. That's our first thing that we have to do. We have to flood the proposed rule with comments saying absolutely not. Then we need to turn up the heat on our elected officials. Now, fortunately, we already have some champions in both the House and the Senate who are fighting back. But we need to create more. We need to make it clear that anyone who's ripping Social Security benefits away is going to get hammered in the next election, and they're going to get sent home with no job in November. So all of this you can find at socialsecurityworks.org. My email's on there as well if you want to send me a note about anything or you have some questions. But if you sign our petition there, you'll get all of our emails, or there's going to be a link that you can click to go over to put a comment in against the rule.
Alex Lawson, Executive Director of Social Security Works. You can find him at socialsecurityworks.org. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right. And please keep up doing the great work that you're doing because, brother, you know we need to have that done out there.
Thank you so much for having me. And you keep up the great work you're doing as a truth teller across this country.
Thank you,
so
brother.
much.
Have a good one now. Folks, that was Alex Lawson. Thank you guys for chiming in. Let me tell you something, folks. We have a lot of work to do, but like I've told you constantly, we have a lot of people doing that work. That's the important thing. There are a lot of people out there doing the work. Notice you're not gonna hear a whole lot about this bill on TV. You know, they're just talking impeachment. They're just talking other things. You won't. Anyhow, I want to, a lot of these people that want us to move to the center, right? A whole lot of people that want us to move to the center, they're constantly talking about somehow they think politicians on the other side are going to come our way. I want to play you something because this is from Mitch McConnell. It's a piece that's been going around, but I want you to see how these guys think. And then I'll be back with you on the other side. For those who believe this election is a game, that somehow this election is a play on moving from the left to the center, a play of trying to calculate how best to move different people into areas that's best for them all. Eddie Glaude made a prescient statement today that every progressive activist need to listen to, but more importantly, it is a message that we need to promote to the masses. It's a message that we need to promote to the people who are most affected by policy, and not only affected by policy, but those who are targeted to misinform, those who are targeted to present a false narrative of how things really are or how things really were. What he's saying on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, no one has said it any better.
Ultimately, it is about those in the Democratic Party says, no, there's a massive, massive change that has to happen. And those that say, you got to get past Trump before you do it.
Right. So the argument has to proceed on these grounds, it seems to me. What happened before Trump? Before Trump, we had high, historic levels of inequality. What was going on before Trump? Black folk were getting murdered in the street. What was happening before Trump? We had mass incarceration. So the question, what does it mean to appeal to what was before him? Right, as if the country was okay. Mm-hmm. The fundamentals weren't that. So I think what we need is an agenda for change, right? And let me say this about Buttigieg and others, right? Barack Obama's candidacy was revolutionary in part because he was a black man. In terms of the policies, it seemed like third-wave Democrats to me. Some people will call him the Clinton Democrat. Buttigieg is presenting himself as a revolutionary candidate in some ways because of identity politics. But when you look at what he's saying, it's just the same old, same old.
Same old, same old. That was a wrong tape. I wanted to do McConnell, but that was the next tape that I was going to do, which is rather important. When everybody's talking about, maybe we have this issue in the Democratic Party and we need to take it easy or whatever, and we need to go back to where we were. Go back to where we were? Come on, folks. Where were we? I mean, what conditions? I mean, the progressive, the continuum. That continuum of inequality continues. Okay, that's a big word. Inequality and disparity and all. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. The fact that you have less money in your pocketbook. The fact that health insurance is costing you more. The fact that everything costs you more and you cannot save. The fact that you are no longer in control of your lives. The fact that you are going to be working for the rest of your life. A good friend of the show sent me a blog today. And I wanted to cut the thing out, but he sent me a blog. The title of the blog was, oh my God, I put the wrong link in there. But the title of the blog pretty much says, our healthcare prices are going through the roof. Our health insurance prices are going through the roof. I'm trying to find it as I speak right now, but it seems like what he gave me was a link to a blog, and in doing so, I can't scroll through it. But I tell you what, let me get you to what Elizabeth Warren had to say. And I want to give Elizabeth Warren super kudos. I want to give Elizabeth Warren super kudos for what she says here, and I explain it on the other side as well. So let's get busy with that, and I'll be right back with after we play this. My concern for some time was that Elizabeth Warren may have been trying to tack to the center. Well, I think over the last few days, she has done quite a few things to let folks understand that, in fact, she is continuing the path not of some mythical center attempt, but the path of going to where we know we need to go. And that is definitely not towards some mythical center, but towards policies that support the different particular issues, economic issues, social justice issues that affect the American citizenry at large. Check this out.
Now, unlike some candidates for the Democratic nomination, I am not counting on Republican politicians having an epiphany. I'm not betting my agenda on the naive hope that if Democrats adopt Republican critiques of progressive policies or make vague calls for unity, that somehow the wealthy and well-connected will stand down.
No, they won't. There are many out there that are saying, oh, we need to just, Elizabeth Warren needs to sit down and it should be Bernie's game carrying the progressive mantra. Others are saying the converse. Look, I want both of those two candidates, excellent progressive candidates in the race. Whoever is able to catch fire, whoever is able to really make that case to the American people that the progressive way, the things that they say they want is how we go, then we are 100% behind that candidate. We will need the other one in the Senate. So therefore, let's not worry right now about which progressive candidate is going to be taking the mantra. We have two great people that are running. Let's see who is best able to carry that torch across the river. Excellent, excellent. Now, you can't tell me that statement on its own doesn't lay the groundwork. Anyhow, the other piece that I wanted to show you was, a lot of people think, okay, we are going to go out there and we are going to be able to somehow talk to the politicians on the other side. And notice that I try to keep my critique to the politicians on the other side. And by the way, folks, if anybody wants to call in and add to the discussion, 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. People tell me sometimes I speak too fast, so I'll say it a little slower. 646-716-5812. Okay. So, people, there are a lot of people who are saying, and I'm a board member of the Coffee Party. I attend the Bridge Alliance conferences in DC. I go to all these things where we try to get people to talk together. This is what we want, and I do, and all my conservative listeners and conservatives viewers and conservative supporters as well. I have quite a few conservatives that are donors to the show as well. You know that I try to, whether I agree or not, we have conversations, because what we ultimately want is for people to have a good life. A lot of my conservatives on here that I know don't particularly like what I have to say. The reason why I'm not adamant or adamantly attacking them or anything of that sort is most of these folks are good people. They just have been led to believe that somehow our way is flawed and the conservative way is the appropriate way. And they have a narrative. They have institutions that push them. After all, there was something once called the Laffer curve, right? The Laffer curve was an economist named Laffer who came up with a curve that said if you drop taxes at a certain point, you actually get more income. I mean, you had all these crazy things out there. not realizing that, wait a minute, you mean if I increase taxes on the wealthy and give it to a whole lot of poor people who are going to spend it immediately, it creates economic activity, which means more taxes gets generated because more. He asked you to lie to math. And this is the kind of things that they push out there, but because he has a title of economist behind him, it should really have said purchased economist. Behind him, he gets a break. And we have a whole lot of conservative people who that narrative fits into what they have been led to believe. So the way I deal with it is I deal with it as we have different sources of information. One is right, one is wrong. I have to be the one who try to make the case to you that it's wrong. But anyhow, but to the leadership of the Republican Party, there is no hope because they know the truth. It's the same thing I give to evangelical pastors, right? The evangelicals are the biggest supporters of Trump. They have to tie themselves into knots. They have to tie themselves into knots to support a man that evil. They have to tie themselves into knots to support a person that goes against just about every single one of the 10 commandments. Even thou shalt not kill, he has now completed based on some policies that he's had effected. So, as it turns out, evangelicals support. I have family members who are evangelicals who, yes, support this dude. And the reason why they do is, again, the leadership, the hierarchical structure that they have been designed to believe is infallible. And if I always tell people, right, when people are just getting into a new church, notice that church doesn't ask for a whole lot of tithes right away because that's not what they want. They first want your mind. And after we have your mind, we've got anything that you've got. We take your mind and we've got it all. And that's all they want. And that is how Fox News work. That is how the Heritage Foundation works. That is how all these different conservative think tanks work. They first get your mind, and then they can get anything out of you. And that's the reason we have such problems. But anyhow, for those people who think there's some merit that the politicians on the right are redeemable, remember, I'm talking about politicians. I'm not talking about people. Check this out. The Democratic nominee that we send to represent us in the general election must be strong, must know who they are, and must be ready to go into office to demand, to fight, to make sure that the values that we really stand for is exactly what we are fighting for. We don't have the time to decide, maybe we will start in the middle. Maybe we will start by compromising. Let me show you exactly how these people on the other side think. Because if we believe, for one time, if we believe that somehow we're going to go in there and that people are going to be ready to make peace with us, that is not how it works. What's respected in Washington is strength. One can be civil and still display and still act out of a position of strength. This is what McConnell did when he became the leader in the Senate, and he executed. One trusts. We take over the Senate, the House, and the presidency in 2020, that we act and not simply acquiesce to some false sense of centrality, to some false sense of, let's make peace. Check this out.
Let's talk about the issue has come up. Let's say somebody were to retire at the end of this year, leading into the summer. You have been if the president appointed somebody, you would follow through on that nomination.
Absolutely. We definitely would do that. If you will recall, Sean, the most important decision I've made in my entire political career was not to fill the Supreme Court vacancy when Justice Scalia passed away.
I was shocked that former President Obama left so many vacancies and didn't try to fill those positions.
I'll tell you why. I was in charge of what we did the last 2 years of the Obama administration.
I will give you full credit for that. And by the way, take a bow. All right, that was a good line.
we have a president and the majority leader of the Senate says, I was in charge. And given that I was in charge, the person that is not as powerful as the president says, I am in charge. And in doing so, I stymied what he did. If Democrats don't go into office with a passion, knowing that they should be executing the policies for their people, for everybody, then they have no right to win if they're not going in there to win for the American people. Okay, folks, so that's what we are up against, people. That is what we're up against. And they have their whole machine. Fox News, all the AM all the AM talk shows, all the FM talk shows. You know, they dominate on air. They dominate elsewhere. We have to depend here on independent media. And now that I'm talking about independent media, if you go ahead and look on our Facebook page, what I'm doing, folks, is I'm giving you some links in here where if you want to support Politics Done Right and independent media, there are several ways to do it. Please go to politicsdoneright.com, politicsdoneright.com, and become a part of our family. We do a lot of important work. We do a lot of work that folks need to make sure, just like our former guest, Alex Lawson, is working hard with Social Security Works, where they need contributions as well to ensure that they can continue to do what has to be done. We do need that as well. So consider going to politicsdoneright.com, and there are all the different avenues to support our show. I'm going to get back in the show real quick, but before I get there, I want to tell you that we finally have a new t-shirt out. And that new t-shirt is, guess what? It says on the t-shirt, I support independent media, with our Politics Done Right logo on it. Check it out. You can check that out at store.politicsdoneright.com. Just go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Maybe I should put that in the link as well. I need to do that right. Store.politicsdoneright. Hey, folks, if you want to call in, the phones are empty. We can take 50 calls at a time, man. But you can give us a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I have two different numbers to remember because when I'm on air at KPFT 90.1 FM, it's a different number. What can I say? But you know what? Having different avenues is what's important, folks. Having different avenues is what's important. Anyway, I just included the store there as well. Anyhow, so check that out at the store. Let's continue the program now. Enough of that, asking you to do that stuff, even though we need you to do that. Anyhow, so here's where I want to go with this entire project now. Today we talked about Social Security Works and what's going on with them trying to slowly pick at it to take it away from you. But here's the other thing. You know how they talk about private health care and somehow giving people a choice? Is giving people a choice among things they cannot afford or either something that is worthless? Axios just came out, or a friend of mine just gave me the link to an Axios blog post. I don't have it here right now, but I'll post it later on, that says private health insurance cost has gone up faster than anything else. I think it said 52% for private health care, 21% for Medicare, and 18% or something like that for Medicaid. But it's something that we know. Math is absolute. If you also have to pay shareholders, advertising costs, overpaid executives, and also bonuses, etc., that money is your premiums. So when you pay your premium, instead of it's going to pay for health care, it has to go into the pockets of all these people that are doing absolutely nothing. By God, I do not understand many times why it is so difficult to put that point across. All I can say is the psychology of a false choice that the plutocracy is able to put forth towards you is effective. And it is something that we, as basic Americans that are trying to promote truth, must find a way around. We must find a way around that. Let me get to the scroll. Wow, there's a lot. Wow, you guys have been busy. Is Trump attacking Social Security? Sneaky. Yes, so make sure your Appalachian neighbors and your neighbors in the barrios and the ghettos know that, so that they will be out voting on election day. Like I told Alex, who was here earlier today, I said, I am not very concerned about Trump winning. I know a lot of Democrats, a lot of progressives are concerned. I have more faith in the American people, right? People say, well, why didn't you have faith in the American people back in 2016? They didn't have a clue that Trump could possibly win. And enough people stayed home in the right places to stop that. But do remember that Hillary did win the election now. So please, let's remember that, okay? Don't sit down there and think, oh, more people didn't vote. No, a hell of a lot more people voted for her. But if we had the people that were interested in voting really vote, the election would not even have been close. It would have been a landslide. And that is what I'm expecting in 2020. I'm expecting landslides. How big will be determined if an Elizabeth Warren or a Bernie Sanders can go out there and make the case that we are coming to reverse. We are coming to reverse the con that has been executed on the American people. We are coming to give you back what was stolen to you. We are coming to give you back your education. We are coming back to give you back the money the bankers stole from you to pay for your college. We are coming back to make sure that you have childcare so that you can get a job and move up in life. We are coming back to take what's ours. We are coming back. We are going to make sure that the stolen money that the drug companies took from you is coming back. Did the drug companies steal money from me? Of course they stole your money. You paid to develop those drugs. Look at insulin. Insulin is a drug that doesn't even have a patent. And people can't afford it because it now costs thousands a year. And why? Because they find a different way to give it to you. Because they do little different changes to insulin, so that they can give some quasi-patents on it and charge you up the gazoo. And if you can't afford it, go die. People, I want you to listen. They try to make you believe that you are asking for something for free. You are asking for nothing for free. You are asking for what is yours. And Daniel Ledo says 3% unemployment. That is BS. 3% unemployment is a true number. I'm not going to lie about the number. It is, what does the 3% mean? It's the kind of jobs that are counted in that 3%. Jobs that don't pay a livable wage. So please, look, I wrote an article for the Daily Kos that's up. Did pretty well yesterday. The article, in fact, I should find that article at the Daily Kos. I need to hurry and wrap this up because we're coming close to the end of the show. But my article at Daily Kos, let me zoom this baby up so I can see it. My article at Daily Kos yesterday is titled, Make Stock Market Record Highs and Low Unemployment Trumps Failure. Hear what I'm saying? That's the title I gave it. Trump is going to campaign on a stock market that is going through the roof. That's how he's going to campaign. And he's also going to campaign on low unemployment. I want him to do that because I want progressives to get smart in the way they attack that. Let him do that. Yes, the economy is strong. Yes, there are a lot of, and then you go ahead and say, but the jobs that you created, we can't do a damn thing with it. And the stock market that's going up doesn't benefit but a few. So yes, you are doing great. The economy is doing great for just those people. And you put that around his neck, because anybody who thinks that that is really something to run on don't understand exactly what Americans are going through, and we can do that. Use people say, oh, wait, all these great guys that you see on MSNBC. Well, the economy is doing very, very well, and because the economy is doing very well, it's hard to get an incumbent president out of there. Where the hell have they been? Take a look at how hard people are working for so little. Take a look at who is benefiting from the stock market and ask these people that he's telling these things to, people, what is in it for you? What is in it for you. It is imperative that we use all his positive. That is what Republicans have always been good at, right? We give people good social services, and they call it welfare giveaways, and they make it look like losers get it. Of course, most people do fine, or most people want these policies, but they make it seem like it's something bad, a good thing that progressives do. They make it seem, oh, you want to give away the store. No, baby. We just want to give things away equitably. We just want things distributed as they should be. After all, this economy belongs to us all. We created this economy. When you have Jeff Bezos worth $160 billion, that is your money. People say, oh, no, he earned it. No, he didn't. For those who are new to this show, I created a product. Before I got rid of my company to become a full-time media person, a full-time truth teller, a full-time whatever. I had a product that one of my first software products was going to be a one-click cart. And in doing the research, to write in the software, this was early on when people didn't know about writing software for web browsers and all of that. I had already figured out, hey, we can do a shopping cart that I was going to market. But guess what Bezos' Amazon did? I have it in my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Go to books at go check it out at Amazon. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. He patented one click. It stifled me out. So he became I'm not saying I would not have the resources to do what he did. But at least I would have had a cart to sell, just like I had my serial.com software that gave me all that I've had. But the thing that I'm trying to tell every American that is listening to me right now is that these billionaires are not billionaires out of their worth. They are billionaires out of your worth. Don't let anybody change the reality of things. You created the wealth for them. How? You want me to tell you exactly how? All those people that are underpaid at Amazon, it's a skim. He takes a little bit off the top. And he believes, because I don't know why, enough people gave capital rules, not humanity. Somehow he's entitled to a piece of everybody's piece. I don't have the time to go into talking about we have to change the economic paradigm, because we've been brainwashed into believing that if you create something and somebody makes a whole lot of money off of it and it goes on and on, that somehow they are entitled to all the profits of these things, not realizing that the composite knowledge of society is what made them whole. Bill Gates could not have made it without all the composite knowledge that came before Bill Gates that he built upon. Did he go and give the people of the ancestors or the siblings or the offsprings of the ancestors who created the knowledge base of the wealth that allowed him to build on for his prop? No. So anytime there's a different paradigm that we have to think on, if we ever want to have equitable distribution of resources of any country, and put it more widely, the world. But I can't get into that any further because we're at the end of the show. So what I want to ask all of you again one more time, please remember to go to politicsdoneright.com. I have it on the screen right now, politicsdoneright.com, and find some way to support progressive media. We talk a whole lot about these issues. We bring a whole lot of people in, like we brought in Alex Lawson from Social Security Works. We brought in economists like Jim Baker. We brought in Dean Baker. We brought in Richard, the socialists as well. We bring in everybody because we want you to be able to think on your own. Hear all the information. Validate it. Validate it. Richard Wolff is the economist I wanted to talk about. Validate it. When I speak, I don't want you to take it at face value either. Research what I'm saying. Research what I am saying. I am so sure of what I say. I don't mind you trying to find or to go ahead and look it up, but I will be saying it. Folks, please support the program, politicsdoneright.com, politicsdoneright.com. If you want to go directly and subscribe, our subscription starts at $1.99. Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. But again, you can reach all of that through politicsdoneright.com. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I close out this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.